Hey, welcome back to the channel. The right place if you want to prepare, survive, and to thrive. So we've got a lot going on right now, not only in the world, but in the United States. But first, we've got a lot of big things happening to the channel. I am going to merge with Steve from Prepping in Progress. We've already done that. We're going to have both channels open, but this video is being released on the new channel, Prepping in Progress. So if you have not subscribed, be sure and go ahead and subscribe. And of course, go on over, subscribe to Ozarks Prepared. Our goal is just to pull our knowledge and to make a once place for you guys to come and learn everything survival, everything prepping, and hopefully we can grow and learn together. So there's a lot going on right now. I don't know if you saw this video from the pastor talking about the dreams he had, but he was talking about one of his dreams. He went to the bank to get change and they said there was no more coins, that they had stopped producing them because they were looking at phasing that out. And after he released that, here within a week, you're starting to see notes pop up all over our town saying that they've slowed down on coin production and they're not giving change as far as coins back. So with that in mind, thinking we might convert to a cashless society and maybe with some chips, and a lot of us won't do that. So what will we do if currency, the way we know it, no longer exists? Well, I put together 27 items that you can start stocking up on now that'll be great for bartering and great for a form of currency. Let's get to it. So let's say that we do go to a cashless society, and let's say that they do want to put chips in, and a lot of us don't want to do that because we just don't want to be tracked like that. Or even if that doesn't happen and society keeps going on this horrible spiral it's on and we get in some hard times, what are some of the things you can stock up on? Well, here is a list I put together. Number one is gold and silver. Now, I'm not talking about the big blocks or bars that a lot of people get. While those are cool and they're fun to have, I doubt you're going to trade a whole gold bar for a loaf of bread. That just wouldn't be too smart. So load up on coins, gold, silver, precious metals. Since the beginning of time, since the dawn of time, precious metals, gold, silver has always been a currency. So I have a hard time believing that that still wouldn't be the case. So loading up on that would be very smart. Number two is water filters, things like life straws, way to purify water. If society does take a bad turn, being able to have a good source of purified water is going to be priceless. So if you've locked or stocked up on a lot of these, you're going to be able to trade that just about for whatever you want. So find ways now to load up on some water purification. Next is ammunition. Let's face it, ammunition will always be in high demand. It doesn't matter. At one point, your gun does no good if you don't have ammunition. So if you load up on ammunition, it's like printing your own money. Load up on the most popular and most well-used types of ammunition, and you're going to be able to pretty much name your price when it comes to bartering and to trading. Next is alcohol and liquor. And I don't know about you, but when you're in a really tough situation, sometimes you just feel like you need a drink. The great thing about alcohol and liquor, it will always be popular. People will always need it to drown out their sorrows. And plus, it's got a lot of other values that you can use it for, like cleaning, sanitation, disinfecting a wound. So loading up on the right types of alcohol could prove very beneficial. Next is cigarettes and tobacco. People will always want to smoke. They'll always want their fix. And when you don't have much else to do, tobacco and cigarettes, dip, things like that are very high in demand, and people are just about willing to pay anything. Just look at the taxes they're paying on it now. They're willing to pay anything for their fix. So loading up on some of these could really be a benefit later. Coffee and tea. Again, a lot of people are addicted to coffee and tea, but besides that, it really gives you that sense of normalcy and that sense of feeling good. Sitting down by a fire or waking up with your coffee or tea. It's just an everyday luxury item that has different benefits that people will always want. So loading up on that will not only help you through it, but it'll help you in bartering. Of course, food and MREs. If it gets as bad as a lot of people think it could or it might get, Food and MREs is going to be very important. So you've got all these other things, and you've got like your water, things like that. If you have extra food that you can barter, you're growing food, you've got chickens, you're producing your own food, and you can use that on a normal trade system, that's as good as dollar bills in your hand. Next is fuel. Whether it's diesel, gasoline, propane, anything like that, anything people can use to operate that might be in short supply or they can't buy unless they conform to the new chip is going to be huge. People will always need gas. We are a fuel burning society, so having some extra things like this on hand, and be sure you know how to store it because fuel can go bad, but if you have some extra things like this, you're going to be a leg up when it comes to bartering. Next is clothing. If you can make coats, jackets, shirts, pants, gloves, anything you can make clothing wise that people will need when they're cold or they're hot or just to feel better, you're going to have a built-in store no matter where you go. The door is always going to be open for you to barter because let's face it, people outgrow things, people lose weight, you're always in need, constant need for new clothing. So if you can have a way to have extra on tap or you can make your own, people will seek you out. Next is medical kits and first aid kits and band-aids. You just can't go to the local pharmacy or you can't go to the doctor. Having things on hand to keep small cuts from getting worse in a time like that is going to be huge. If you're stocked up enough to take care of yourself and you can afford to barter things or trade things with the extra stock, you're going to have something that a lot of people want and not very many people have access of. So being able to stock up on anything like that is going to be beneficial. Next, kind of falling into the same thing, is medications and pain meds. You know, if you wake up with a killer headache, you don't have your caffeine, you don't have your cigarettes, whatever, but you've got tons and tons of ibuprofen or aspirin or Tylenol or any other kind of pain medication, that is one thing that will fly off the shelf in an end time situation. People are going to need to be able to function just to make it through that day. So if you're able to have something like that, you're really going to be sitting pretty when you need something of your own that you can trade for it. Next is portable solar powers or solar panels. Listen, people love the lights. Ever since we came into the light age, we can't imagine without it. We've got old phones, we got old cameras, we got old radio players, things like that we've gotten used to that we didn't have generations ago. We actually can't live without now. So if you have an extra way to give people power, you can pretty much name what you want in return. Next is toilet paper. Hey, I've survived in the woods, and why peat moss and moss does its job, it's not as comfortable as regular toilet paper. And in fact, if you remember a few months back, we had quite a shortage of that, and people didn't have it, was not very happy. So having extra toilet paper, even though it seems like it's not a big survival item, it's a luxury item that you can definitely trade for something you're lacking. Next on the list is batteries. Everything we use either is going to use electricity or batteries. If you've got a big stash and a big cache of batteries, I tell you what, there are times I was out doing something that if I just had a couple batteries, I could have had light or I could have had power, and at that moment in time, I would have just about given anything for that. So load up on batteries because I guarantee you'll come across somebody who will need some. Next is flashlights and AM/FM radios. If you're separated from the world, you're going to want some kind of constant reminder of what's going on out there so you can be prepared. So having an extra stash of AM/FM radios or crank radios that you could trade, people really want that because any kind of communication or anything you can listen to pass the time really helps hard times to go by quicker. So have that, have the flashlights. People like to see what they're doing. Little items like that you can maybe pick up for pretty cheap later can be worth more than their weight in gold. Next on the list is walkie-talkies. If you have gone out to the woods or you have no communication, you might want to have a way to keep in touch with family or keep in touch with like-minded groups that are around you. So having a way, just a little walkie-talkie, and there's a lot of different brands out there, so do your research, but 30, 50, 100 miles away, just that extra peace of mind and that extra human interaction, knowing that other people are going through the same thing, can help you get through it, and people will be willing to spend a lot on that. So try and find some of those to keep in your stash. Okay, next we got chocolates and sweets. You know, if you're out surviving and all you're doing is living off squirrels or you're living off rabbits or, you know, what you can grow, Everybody eventually is going to get a sweet tooth. They're going to want a luxury item that reminds them of their childhood and can help them get through it. Just a Hershey bar at a time like that, you never know what you could get. So just get a little sweets, load up on them, be able to pass them out for bartering or for goodwill, and I guarantee you won't be sorry. Next is different kinds of spices, whether you're making your own, you're growing your own, or you just load up on them. If you're eating the same thing day after day after day, it's amazing how a few different spices makes it taste completely like a different dish. So spices are things that people, especially in this society now, will do a lot for and pay a lot for. Doesn't take up much room, doesn't cost much money. You'll definitely get back your bang on your buck on it. Along those same lines, having different drink mixes just to add to your water, whether it's just makes it a flavored water, it's lemonade, it's a Propel, it's electrolytes. People will get sick of drinking water, so having something like that will be in high demand. Listen, I like water as much as anybody, but if that's all you've had to drink for 3 weeks straight and nothing else in sight, what would you do for a little box of water flavoring? Think about that when you're thinking about what to load up on. Next is just some hygiene products like toothpaste, toothbrushes, soaps, shampoos. These are things that make us feel human. And it's hard enough to survive just out there, you're doing a week, but if you're doing long term, if you don't feel human and you've been dehumanized, it just sucks out your will to live. So having something like that's not only gonna boost you, but people will be willing to pay a lot to be able to feel that humanity again, so load up on some of those products. Next is heirloom seeds. Hey, this might be the gold of the future. You know, they've got vaults around the world, stuff like this, and there's a reason for that. If we have a big event or things as we know it shift, being able to have a stash of things you can plant in different seasons and have guaranteed food is going to be priceless. People will pay and barter and trade everything they have to get some of that stability and some of that long-term insurance. So definitely get some heirloom seeds. This would be one of my top picks. Okay, next is fishing poles, fishing gears. You know, if you can make your own fly baits, your own fly spinners, your own poles, your own fishing systems, anything that'll make surviving easier for you and for other people, they'll be willing to pay. I've been in the woods all my life, and bushcrafting fishing poles, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can do it pretty quick, but it takes a lot of time. So if you're the go-to person for something like this, you can really get a good network of clients and bartering potential. Okay, next is multi-tools, knives, arrows, any kind of thing that can help you security or can help you gain food, gather food, do everyday chores, which is going to be abundant in that time. If you've got extra of those, or if you've got a way to make your own, people are going to come to you, because most people can be worried about gathering food, gathering water, having their shelter, and they're not going to have time to do that. So if you have something like that on hand, you can name your price when it comes to trading. Another thing is rope and bungee cords. Now, if you're in the woods, there's a lot of things you can use to make your own cordage. A lot of people don't know this now, and it's harder in the city. So if you've got a lot of extra on you, people will be willing to trade for it. You never know until you get in the survival situation what you don't have enough of. So having extra of some of these very good, smart, everyday use items can really come in handy later. Okay, next we've got candles. Candles have been therapeutic from day one. They give off light, they give off a nice pleasing odor, and they just give you that comfort. So learning to make your own candles are going down when they have a sale, when you can buy 5 for 1. Having a lot of these, you'd be surprised how many people will trade things that you will need for something like that. Very inexpensive item, easy to store, so I would suggest picking some of that up. And of course, books, survival books, how-to books, even entertainment books. We as humans, when we're in a dire situation, we need anything we can do to divert our mind. If you watch the survival series Alone, the biggest thing that these people face is their mind working against them. Books and entertainment like that, you can't really put a price on that. Some people will go crazy without it. So having extra copies of things people can just read can get you pretty much anything you might need when you're trading. There you go, 27 easy items to stock up on that could be the new world currency in any kind of situation. definitely people will buy for them, they will barter for them, and if you're set yourself up to have a lot of extra of these, you're probably not going to go a long time without getting what you want in trade. I hope this got you thinking a little bit. I hope it gets you thinking long term of what could happen, what might happen. We're in scary times, and though I'd like to believe things like this won't happen, we're definitely on a course where I can see a lot of this coming to fruition. So while you have time now, while the going's good, load up on some of this, not just for you, but to use as a new dollar bill if something like that does happen. I really appreciate your time today. I hope this found value. If you did, please give us the thumbs up, ask any questions you like, and be sure to subscribe here and Ozarks Prepared. I really appreciate your time, and as always, remember, prepare, survive, and thrive.